Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
What's up, NBA fans? Welcome to The Outlet, and we're back. I'm Nick Fay, OTG site manager. I'm from New York, big Nets fan, and with me as always, Parth.
What's up, everyone? Glad to be back doing this weekly OTG podcast. I'm located here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Actually, College Game Day was here for JMU football. And what did JMU proceed to do? Yeah, that's right, lose. So that's where I'm from, Harrisonburg, Virginia. And I'm a big Miami Heat fan, kind of going back to Dwayne Wade's rookie and sophomore seasons when I really got hooked. After trying to find someone to follow after Michael Jordan. I've been a Heat fan ever since.
Before we talk about the NBA, we want you guys to actually know who we are a little bit, so we're going to do a little either or.
Go ahead, Nick. Lead off.
So, Parth, either or, Xbox One or PS4?
I've always had PlayStation, so I got to roll with the PS4, even though I've never played the next-gen consoles.
I'm a big Xbox One guy, so I'm sticking with that. What do you got for me?
Waffles or pancakes?
Honestly, that is very tough. I'm going to go with waffles because I feel like you don't have them as much and you can do more cool stuff to them.
Agreed.
All right. What about Marvel or DC?
DC all the way, man. I grew up watching Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, the cartoons on Cartoon Network. Love those shows.
See, I'm a big Marvel guy. Wolverine, Spider-Man. Those are my guys right there.
I did enjoy Spider-Man the animated series, and I liked X-Men. There were a ton of X-Men cartoons when I was a kid, so I don't know which one I'm specifically referring to, but I watched it on Fox Saturday mornings. But
that's the best one right there.
But I definitely loved Superman the animated series and Batman the animated series a lot more.
See, I'm all Marvel over here.
All right, Nick, Mac or PC?
I'm PC. I think Macs are great though, but I've had PC all my life and I'm not switching.
Yeah, I've had PC too, but I'm dying to make the switch for a Mac. I just need a reason to buy a laptop.
True. Macs they're pricey though.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Pizza Hut or Domino's?
Can I go neither on this one? Can I just go mom and pop pizza?
I mean, yeah, you can. I prefer mom and pop pizza.
We used to go to Domino's all the time, or not Domino's. My family used to go to Pizza Hut all the time, and now the rest of my family loves Domino's. If I had to pick a chain, it'd probably be Papa John's. But if I had a choice and what kind of pizza I would want, it'd definitely be mom and pop pizzerias.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely go mom and pop first. Right from New York City, I would go get some pizza right there. But I'm going to go with Pizza Hut. Stuffed crust is my thing.
All right. Would you go with Kobe or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
Not even thinking about it? Hands down, MJ?
Yep, no question.
That's interesting. I feel like MJ is because I was born in 1992, I didn't get to see the young MJ play. I've only seen highlights and tapes of MJ in his 90s dominance. So I feel like MJ is kind of a myth. You know what I'm saying? Like he's kind of a mythical sort of being in terms of basketball.
I definitely agree with you there. I mean, because I was born in 92 as well, so we didn't really see him as much like live playing, mostly highlights, but some of the stuff you see is just ridiculous.
I did go to a Wizards game back when he played with the Wizards. My family went, and he was playing the Suns when the Suns had Stephon Marbury, and I remember Jordan dunking in that game, and that's like my one live memory of Jordan.
Hey, that's a solid memory though. So, but let's get on to our top 5 takeaways from the season so far. I mean, interesting season, a lot of crazy stuff, but let's start with let's start with talking about Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant. They actually just played yesterday afternoon against the Knicks, and what could be his farewell to Madison Square Garden. And the first 2 weeks, it's been tough to see Kobe play. Like I'm a big fan. He's a legend of the game. But the way he's playing is just, it's hard to watch, especially knowing his brilliance from the early 2000s and even late 2000s. He was an incredible player for that entire decade. And now it's the father time's really catching up to Kobe. He's having to shoot a lot more threes because he can't get by anyone with consistency. And it's just like his legs aren't there. Everything is short. He's had a couple of memorable air balls. I remember seeing a Vine yesterday of him shooting. I don't know who this was against, but I remember Jordan Clarkson being in the corner and D'Angelo Russell being on the opposite wing, and Kobe shot it from the wing. And it was a contested 30-footer, and he missed it badly. And Jordan Clarkson's like, "What the hell, dude? Come on!" And D'Angelo Russell looks completely disinterested. So maybe they're tired of Kobe just jacking up shots too. But it's hard seeing him like this.
Yeah, no, it definitely hurts to watch. Like you said, Kobe's been such a big time player during our time, and to see him struggle like this is rough. Just to give you an idea, Kobe's shooting around 20% from 3-point land. So that percentage is bad. If I was Clarkson or Russell, I might be mad too, especially because I think he's jacking up about 8 threes a game.
And a lot of them are contested. They're not wide open threes. And he's taking how many is he taking?
I'm pretty sure it's 8 threes a game.
On 20%. That's pretty bad. That's
Any
a lot
other
of
player. It's not seeing the floor after that.
A lot of empty possessions. And I think he can still play make. If I were the Lakers, I would want Kobe maybe on the elbow or mid post, low post area, anywhere around the paint. And he could probably initiate some offense. D'Angelo Russell's been he's been, I don't know, I wouldn't even say mediocre. He's been pretty bad. He's not getting fourth quarter minutes from Byron Scott.
Yeah, a lot of Laker fans aren't happy.
Yeah, I don't know why the Lakers fans aren't happy. Whatever happened to trying to earn your minutes? For example, Kristaps Porzingis, who the Knicks didn't take just because they didn't think he would be ready in time. They thought Russell was the more complete player right now. But Kristaps has been playing and he's earned his minutes. He's been awesome for the Knicks.
Yeah,
so why can't I know Kobe's taking up shots, and that's an argument against Russell earning his minutes by being a ball handler and stuff, but he can't really shoot it right now. He's not the best athlete in the world. He can't really get by anyone and get to the basket with consistency, and he can't keep anyone in front of him. I think point guards and shooting guards are going off against LA every single night.
I think everyone is going off against LA.
Yeah, to that. Their defense is, I think, 29th in defensive rating. Yeah, they're pretty bad to start the season. But he should have to earn some minutes, and writers and fans shouldn't be so upset about Byron Scott allowing the kid to work his way into the lineup.
I can see your point because you want him to earn his minutes. You don't want him to just walk in. But also, I can see the fans' point that he's a top pick. The Lakers aren't going to do anything this season, so let the kid play.
Yeah, the thing is, though, the Lakers have been so quick to fire their coaches. I would, if I'm Byron Scott, I'm playing whoever gives me the best chance to win for my job's sake. I don't, who cares about where they're going to be 5 years from now if you're not going to be there?
Yeah, I can see that point too, because the Lakers could definitely let him go. He might be one of the coaches I think to let go at the end of the season. But onto a team that has really surprised us this year, I know personally surprised me a lot, is the Portland Trail Blazers.
Yeah, not only you, they've surprised me as well. I didn't think they would be as good as they are so far in the early season. They had a tough loss yesterday to the Pistons, but Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson just went absolutely bonkers yesterday. But other than that, Portland's had a good start to the season. I'm really surprised. Well, I was pretty sure CJ McCollum would take the next step and be a good player. And in our preview, we were wondering about the loss of Steve Blake and how the backup point guard minutes would kind of how that whole dynamic would work out. But Terry Stotts is doing an awesome thing in which he starts Lillard and McCollum, and then I think he pulls McCollum early and lets Lillard finish out most of the first quarter, and then inserts McCollum back in as the point guard with the second team. So that's worked out great. Obviously, Farouk Amino has been incredible.
Yeah,
I think he's been the story, the low key story for Portland. He's been really, really good.
he's doing a great job defensively. His shots improved, and he just gives him that energy. That team just plays with a lot of energy, a lot of young guys all over the floor. So, and like you said, Dame Lillard, McCollum, they've been huge, and FanDuel wise, they've been huge as well.
Yeah, I think with Aminu, like the last couple of seasons, he's looked like an athlete playing basketball, but now he looks like a basketball player who's also an athlete.
Very true.
He just looks so different out there, and it's awesome for Portland because they gave him a really favorable deal when the new cap kicks in, and so yeah, they got a steal with Al-Farouq Aminu.
And a lot of people actually, I think, question that deal because that was one of the first deals I think signed in free agency. So it's nice to see that work out for them.
Yeah, Portland has done. I mean, I don't think they can keep this up. They'll still be a really entertaining team in my opinion because they've been really fun to watch. But as far as the playoffs go, 2 weeks in, it's early to say, but I don't think they can continue this success long term. But regardless, Neil O'Shea has done a great job bringing in a team that at least elicits excitement for the fan base and even people like me who just watch on League Pass.
Yeah, definitely. They are a fun team to watch. And it's incredible that they've had so much turnover on their roster and they still are able to have success early in the season. But
Right.
Let's talk about another team I know that you like and you enjoy watching, the Orlando Magic.
Orlando has been League Pass gold, man. It's awesome how they find a way to play to their competition to where at the end of the game it's really close. It might be a 1 or 2 possession game. For example, I think a couple of nights ago they beat Toronto when Toronto came to Orlando, and then last night, was it last night? Might have been last night or the night before. They almost lose to Philadelphia. Philly plays them really tight all the way till the end. So Orlando is like one of those teams that really plays to their competition, whether it's playing up or playing down, and they are just really, really, really fun to watch. Their games always go down the wire. They have athletes. Victor Oladipo has been awesome. Scott Skiles' rotations have been a little iffy in terms of playing Alfred Payton, who I think people want to see because of his palm tree hair. But they're a fun team to watch. I highly recommend hopping on the Orlando bandwagon.
I definitely always flick to their games. Like you said, Victor Oladipo is fun to watch. I like Tobias Harris. Aaron Gordon's been doing okay. And Vujic is doing well. I think he's injured, though, right now. But I always check out the Magic. It'll be interesting to see how they do all season if they can really push for that 8th seed in the East.
Yeah, I think they can, but they haven't gotten off to the best start. They've been in these close games, but they've been losing.
Yeah, and the one positive thing I would say, they've been in close games against good teams too, which always helps. Just later on in the season, you get that experience in the fourth quarter.
Right, and Evan Fournier has been a surprise. Yeah. He's been awesome.
He's been doing work.
And I know he didn't get an extension, so I think he's a free agent next summer. But I don't think Orlando keeps him. I think that eventually is Hazonia his spot.
Oh, true.
I love Mario Hazonia. I hope he. I mean, it sucks not seeing him get minutes, but as long as Orlando's doing so well in terms of being an entertaining team on League Pass, I'm totally okay with whatever Scott Skiles is doing.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that. That makes sense because I mean Fournier is probably going to want a bigger role going forward with the next team he goes with.
Right, and that 2-3 spot is kind of it has a lot of, they have a lot of options, and so they don't necessarily have to pay big money to keep Fournier. They could just plug in Hazonia on that rookie scale deal.
Exactly, because you got Oladipo and Harris picking up most of those minutes as it is. So, but let's talk about a team that a lot of us I think expected to do well and has really had a rough start. The New Orleans Pelicans.
Dude, they flat out suck. They have not been good.
Yeah, I think they give up the most points in the NBA. They allow teams to shoot the highest field goal percentage against them. So no defense in New Orleans. Anthony Davis has really started off rough. Defensively hasn't done much. But the last, I think, 2 games, though, he's picked it up. It'll be interesting to see if they can land their first win.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an adjustment for him in Alvin Gentry's system just because he hasn't shot threes with consistency before, and now he's being asked to do so. And I think that poses for a lot of possible empty possessions multiple times down the court for him, and just in terms of getting used to shooting threes from different spots on the court, while he's in rhythm, while he's out of rhythm, blah blah. Just typical basketball things from different spots from around the court, which he might not be used to doing in his past couple of seasons. So I think there's an adjustment period there. I think he'll find a way to overcome that and become a more consistent player, and the player we've known to love. And I don't know. I just feel like them not having Tyreke Evans, and who else? Is it just him? And then Drew Holiday is also on a minutes restriction.
Mm-hmm. And I think Omar Asik is still out, and they just had a ton of guys just banged up. They've either missed a little bit of time or they've been playing injured.
Right, and with that, Davis is the primary option. Like there isn't a secondary option that can really create for himself. Eric Gordon
he's been doing pretty good this season, but they still need more players.
Like you can throw one guy on Eric Gordon and throw three, like shade two dudes over to Anthony Davis while his primary defender defends him, and you'd be all right facing the Pelicans. Like you don't have to really worry about their other offensive threats all that much.
Yeah, their problem's definitely been consistency. And to cut them some slack, I guess they do have the injuries. I like to see Tyreke Evans because he always puts up numbers for them. And do you know when Drew Holiday is going to get off the minute restriction, or is that just going to be for a while?
I think I know he's recovering from that stress fracture that is basically zapped, just basically taken 2 seasons from this guy. And he was an all-star before he got there. So I think it's up until December or January when he'll start to play bigger minutes. But I mean, you don't know if he's going to run into a setback before then. So I mean, it's the plan is, I believe, that in December or January he's going to get more minutes, but you never know.
But let's talk about, I know we talked about some negative stuff. Let's go into something that's been really positive and awesome to watch. Steph Curry.
Well, Steph Curry is definitely a negative for the Pelicans.
True.
Killed them twice, and he's off to a tear. One thing I do want to talk about in terms of Steph Curry is the insane amount of media protection that this guy gets. So, for example, I really like NBA Twitter, and whenever the Dubs are playing and Steph Curry's doing awesome, the Twitter world is ablaze. Like everyone's like, "Oh my God, Steph this, Steph that," and I get it. He's awesome. He shoots better than anyone off the dribble ever, and he can pass. But what I don't like is when he doesn't have a good game, and the Twitter world is quiet. There's no criticism. For example, if Dwight Howard doesn't make a dunk, Dwight Howard would be getting so much flack, just like on one simple play. But if he does well, okay, Dwight Howard had a good game. When Steph Curry does well, oh my God, Steph is the best player ever. He's proving himself to be last year's MVP. I've seen that a ton. It makes no sense. Last year is over. I'm talking about that MVP. It's over. But then when he doesn't do well, it's just we're not gonna really talk about it. However, Ethan Strauss, who covers, he's one of the dudes I follow on Twitter. He's good. I think he covers the Warriors for ESPN. He's been good about it. When Curry struggled, which has only really been once this season against the Sacramento Kings, he definitely mentioned it. So props to him for playing both sides.
I think just like the protection Curry gets, I think comes a little bit with his personality. Just because he's like a nice guy, everyone kind of likes him. But I definitely agree with your point, though. I think you said the other night James Harden had like a crazy night, and no one was really giving him much respect.
Yeah, like just it's really interesting to see how media really morphs the way you see all these guys and who you think is good and who you think is not good. Because you could listen to talking heads on ESPN all day long, and they could really influence how you feel about player X or player Y. And it doesn't have to be like, I know LeBron is similar to Steph Curry in terms of being a good dude, or at least the media perceiving him to be a good dude. we obviously don't know. But like even like I remember them having, I think Steph had, that Steph play on Chris Paul last year where he went behind the back twice and then shot the jumper and Chris Paul kind of stumbled. I remember ESPN and SportsCenter doing a 5-minute segment about how LeBron felt about that.
That's crazy.
Like, no wonder people hate LeBron. Like that is dumb to do. Like, it's just it's ridiculous. So it's funny to see how media really shapes the way we feel about a lot of these guys.
Yeah, the media definitely has influence on how you think about everything, but definitely the way you can perceive players. That's why it's good to watch the games and make your own opinions.
With all that being said, Steph has been the best and most dominant player this season. Shooting incredible, scoring like 30 plus a night, I should say. I'm selling him short.
33.9 a night.
Yeah, he's been incredible. And it's funny, like I know he mentioned in one of his post-game interviews that the team is better. And I'm not quite sure that the team is better. It might just be him because Klay Thompson looks bad.
Yeah, he hasn't done much.
He hasn't played well. Their defense is still there, and I think their defense will stay. I don't think that'll change. But then there's also the dynamic of Steve Kerr not being there and Luke Walton being the coach. I don't know how much that has to do with maybe the team regressing while Steph takes on a bigger role in offensively for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I want to know what happens when Steph comes back down to earth a little bit, more closer to his averages last year. And maybe does Klay Thompson pick up the slack then, or does Klay Thompson have just the slump of a season? I mean, I'm not sure what happens, but I'm interested to find out.
Yeah, I think part of it though is you need Curry to have a bigger role because he was just so efficient last year, even with the numbers. Because like you look at Curry's numbers from last season, and a lot of the time he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. So
Right,
like,
that's true.
this year they're just, I think, relying on him a little bit more, and that's okay because Curry, I mean, I don't think he's going to shoot 55% from field goal range and 47% from three all season long, but I think that he can still shoot efficient numbers and he handles the ball well. I think his turnovers are probably down this season. So I think him having a bigger role might make the Warriors a better team, but they definitely need Klay to just get out of this slump, get back to what he was doing, just being a lethal shooter out there, and that will just only make Steph Curry's job even easier.
Yeah, I think the lack of turnovers is really underrated. Like Steph could have been doing the same things last year if he just didn't turn over the ball and got a shot up at the hoop.
Very true. Turnovers are definitely something I always like to keep an eye on.
One thing about Steph, though, is that he shoots ridiculous shots. Like for anyone else, you would be like, oh my God, that's a terrible shot. But he makes them.
All the time, too. It's crazy.
Yeah, eventually I think I don't think he can keep this sort of shooting efficiency up, especially taking those shots. So maybe he hits a plateau here soon. But I think just you have to go with that just by numbers itself. But then again, he's such a special player that he might be that exception, that outlier to the rule. So I don't know. He's having a great season though. Early season MVP.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely came out and says he wants to win the MVP again with his play. I'll tell you some people who definitely love Steph Curry though are fantasy players. Steph's been huge. He's put up some huge games. I think he had like a 70-point fantasy game a week ago. But let's talk about FanDuel for this upcoming week. I got some guys that I just want you guys to keep an eye on. I'm not saying play them every night, but take advantage of their value. Kristaps Porzingis. That guy's been a steal so many nights in fantasy. I think he's been at 5K or under, and he's been hitting over 25 a lot. And I think his minutes are going to go up a little bit more when he stops getting in foul trouble. So take advantage of him before they up his price.
He's been awesome. I think he had a double yesterday against the
Lakers.
Yeah, he's been fun to watch too. He's been putting dudes on posters off tip back or put back dunks.
Put back city. I mean, he's putting like dunks down on everybody. Kevin Love, LaMarcus Aldridge. So Kristaps ain't playing games. Another guy who's been doing pretty good is Nick Stauskas. He's been under 4,000 most of last week. I'm not sure if they're going to boost his price, but he's been hitting about 20 points, so that's about value. You always try to get those low-value guys that hit value.
Do you think Nick Stauskas is better than Ben McLemore? Because Ben McLemore has sucked.
That's a tough one to say because Nick Stauskas is just in such a in the Sixers, and they don't really have that many people, so he's just going to get his opportunities. Well, Malcolm Moore kind of has to take the back seat, and he's actually trying. They have more to play for, I would say, the Kings.
Fair enough. Fair point.
It's tough to say though. I mean, Stauskas could end up being better. I mean, he's a good shooter. I mean, when he's on, he's on. Another guy, Marcus Thornton, because the Rockets have had a ton of injuries. They've been playing him a lot. I think the other night he was at 4,000. He ended up with 40 fantasy points, so that's way overvalued. Definitely the kind of guy you want to keep an eye on. As well, another player, Kent Bazemore. He's been on fire this season. He's, I think, still under 5,000 on FanDuel, so keep an eye out for him. Then Marvin Williams has been consistent around 5,000. He's been hitting about 25 fantasy points a night.
I like your picks. I like your value picks.
Yeah, a lot of people play FanDuel or DraftKings differently. Personally, I think you have to find value and try to play some of those big-time guys because like we saw last week, Curry, Davis both had 70-point fantasy games. That's the kind of performance that wins you some money.
Speaking of big-time guys, do you have a couple for the listeners that you should probably play whenever they have a game? Like, for example, you want to play Steph Curry every night. Do you have some of those type of guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just to talk about Steph Curry a quick second. I tend to not play Warrior players as much because I just always feel like it could be a blowout, and that scares me because then I don't have value. So some superstars, I like Blake Griffin. I think Blake Griffin's had a crazy season. I think he's averaging 29 points a game or something like that. And Chris Paul's got that groin injury, so Blake picked it up a little bit more in the last game. He's at about 10K right now, so 50 points I don't think is too hard for him to hit. And another guy I'm going to go is Anthony Davis because I think he's just going to continue to improve his play. He just really struggled in the start. His last few games, he showed a little bit more. And they need to win, so they need him to have a big game for them to win.
Thoughts on Andre Drummond?
Oh, well, that's my mistake for not mentioning Drummond because that's terrible because Drummond has won me some money last week. He's been huge, literally, figuratively, whatever you want to say. I think you said it in your games of weeks. He's 25 and 20 any night. He's that good. He's just so big, and they do a great job of spreading the floor in Detroit. So I play him at center a lot too. But let's talk about your games of the week.
Yeah, speaking of Andre Drummond, so I try to do with these games of the week. It's up on OTG every Monday, and it'll go through games Monday through Sunday. Trying to pick matchups that'll end up being close and entertaining games, as well as storylines mixed in and all that kind of stuff. And I only try to pick teams once a week. So, for example, if the Warriors play the Rockets and the Clippers one week, I'm probably only going to pick one of those games in terms of my games of the week. But I know you're going to probably watch both.
Sure.
So with that in mind, let's get right into it for November 9th through the 15th. And my first game is actually tonight, Monday, November 9th at 10:30, and you can watch it on League Pass. And the Pistons come into town to face the Warriors. And I know we're going to make picks. We'll do that here in just a second. But I think the Pistons just beat the Trailblazers last night, and Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond were both monsters. And you think the Warriors are, well, the Warriors are the better team on paper for sure, and then have definitely been the better team. They've been the best team in the league. But I think Detroit has capable athletes, and then they play a style which is kind of like that 2009 Orlando Magic style. When we mentioned that in the Detroit Pistons pod going into the season, that they're going to try to do that. And Andre Drummond's been incredible. And so I think this could be a fun matchup.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be interesting. I think the Warriors are probably going to try to make it incredibly hard for the Pistons to get the ball to Andre Drummond, but Drummond can still have an impact on the game, just rebounding and being a force in the paint. It'll be interesting to see how Ezeli does against Drummond tonight.
Yeah, I don't think Bogut. Well, I don't know. He might be back. He's missed a couple of games with his concussion and broken nose and all that face injury stuff. So yeah, he might be back. If he's back, I think he's probably a little bit stronger. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I've heard like Ezeli is a beast. But Bogut's a little girthier, might be a better matchup for Andre Drummond, but who knows? It's something to look forward to when you watch the first game on my 6-game slate for games of the week. But anyway, who are you picking, Detroit or Golden State? Remember, Detroit is visiting Oracle.
I'm going to go Golden State. I'm taking the safe pick here. I think they're just going to make life hard on Andre Drummond. And if Bogut plays, I think he helps a little bit. And not just the fact that he plays defense, they just have some more fouls to give out to him and make his life more difficult down low.
I agree. I'm going with Golden State as well. And we'll recap all these picks as soon as we go through game by game. On Tuesday, November 10th at 7 on NBA TV, I think this is the fan night game. Oklahoma City goes into the Verizon Center to face the Washington Wizards, which I'm dubbing the battle for Kevin Durant. And I think this. I mean, both teams are pretty good. OKC started out 3-0 and then have kind of faltered as of late, even though they won yesterday. The Wizards started out last week beating the Spurs, and then they got I don't know who they lost. They lost 2 games since then. I can't remember the first one, but I do remember that they got smacked by the Celtics a couple days ago.
They had like a 20-point loss, right?
Right, yeah. And so the Wizards definitely have to try to turn it around. But I think the fan dynamic is really interesting in this game. So do you think the fans boo Kevin Durant, or do they cheer him really loud?
They're going to cheer him really loud. They're going to have all kinds of crazy stuff. I remember when the Nets really wanted Dwight Howard, the fans were like cheering him every time they could. They like wore like those, those big signs of like their faces. They'll probably have like huge Kevin Durant faces or like KD, come home, all this crazy stuff trying to get him. I think they'll be super nice to him.
Yeah, I bet you there's going to be like, because it's Washington, D.C., there's probably going to be like some political, like sort of push to get KD. So it's something like DC for KD 2016. Like I can see signs and shirts in the Verizon Center.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. But just like as a side note, which shouldn't be a side note, but Russell Westbrook is playing John Wall, and they're going to guard each other most likely. Especially with Bradley Beal struggling with a shoulder injury. I don't know if he's going to be back by Tuesday because it looked painful when he
didn't yet.
I'm sorry?
They said they have like details on it, but they haven't released them yet. I saw like a report this morning about it. It's kind of interesting. I'm curious to see what it is.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad when I saw it. So I don't know if he'll be back. But yeah, John Wall versus Russell Westbrook, both dudes are really athletic. John Wall is trying to get into that elite class of point guard, and he's close. He's been good. Russell Westbrook is, of course, an animal. And so I think that matchup is really interesting. Who do you have winning this one?
I'm going to go with OKC just because I don't know what's up with Beal. And if he's not going to play, that really hurts them because they can just key on the wall a little bit more. Otto Porter's coming off a good game, though, but still Beal's been playing lights out this year.
Yeah, I unfortunately am not going to be interesting and disagree with you. I'm going with OKC as well. I think it'll be close, though. I think it'll be fun.
Well, I think if Beal plays, Wizards can definitely win, but I'm just not sure if he's going to play now, so I'm not going to bet on him,
Right. All right, third game, Wednesday, November 11th, 8 p.m., our first nationally televised game on ESPN. It's the Clippers at the Dallas Mavericks. This is DeAndre's first trip back to Dallas, and it's going to be fun. The ESPN promos for this game have been really good. ESPN has been doing some shitty stuff as of late, as far as Stephen A. Smith hosting a Sports Center, backing Greg Hardy. That's one thing, and then getting rid of Grantland. So ESPN's all over the place. They've been doing some bad stuff, but the promo that they had for this game was excellent. It was 30 for 30 worthy. It was really damn good. So I'm really excited about this game. The Clippers are clearly the better team, but I also just read this morning that Dallas is ready to play Wes Matthews 30-plus minutes, which is incredible. That dude came back from an Achilles tear, started the first game of the year, and he's called the Iron Man for a reason. So congrats, officially welcome back Wes Matthews. But who do you have in this game?
I'm not going to be interesting again. I'm going to pick the Clippers. I just don't see the Mavs doing it, and I like the way Blake Griffin's playing. And I feel like DeAndre Jordan's going to like feed off everyone being mean to him and have like a crazy game.
Yeah, I'm going to make the upset pick and say Chris Paul is held out of this game as well, just to be cautious. And the Mavs pull the upset because DeAndre Jordan can't hit his free throws. I feel like I see hack of DeAndre coming into this game. It'll be all game long when they do this, and he's gonna get so many boos from the Mavs fans. So I'm gonna go with Dallas. I just feel like the energy in the arena, because I'm pretty sure it'll be a sellout for this game specifically.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game. They're going to come to play. They definitely want to beat him because obviously he ruined their off season.
Yeah, and ESPN's showing that reception too, because that's why people are tuning in for the game. So you'll see starting lineups in this game, which you don't normally see on a nationally televised broadcast. But I'm going with the Mavs. In our fourth game, the Utah Jazz are going into Orlando to face the Magic. And the Magic are a fun team. I know we mentioned earlier that they play to their competition. I'm not sure where they are in terms of I don't know the difference between the Utah Jazz and the Orlando Magic. Both of these teams I really like to get into the playoffs this year as sleeper picks. And Orlando's been really, really, really fun to watch. And Utah plays kind of a slow pace, but they have good weapons in Alec Burks, Rodney Hood, Gordon Hayward, Derek Favors. So I think this will be a really, really fun game. And hopefully Nick Vucevic is back. And this, by the way, is Friday, November 13th at 7 on League Pass. So it's a perfect game because it starts early, so it'll finish early around 9:30 probably. And you can drink through it, pregame through it, and it'll make the already exciting finish even more exciting. So I think this is a perfect game to watch on a Friday night.
There you go. It'll get you all set up for your night. You'll have a great night if you watch this game. I'm going to go – this is a tough matchup, really, because the Jazz have slightly been inconsistent in the Magic play to who they're playing. But I'm going to go with the Jazz because I like their defense. I think they let up the least amount of points in the NBA right now.
Fair point. I'm going to go with the Magic. They've got to win some of these close games, right? You think?
Yeah.
They've lost a lot of them. So I think just by the stats here and the numbers – they're going to win some of these close games, and I'm just going to pick them to win this one. All right, moving on.
Be close.
Moving on to the weekend, Saturday night, November 14th at 8:30 on League Pass. The Cleveland Cavaliers go into Milwaukee to play the Bucks. And now this might not seem like a interesting matchup to start, but Charles Barkley does believe the Bucks have the best chance of giving the Cavs real trouble during the regular season and maybe even in the playoffs. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with him on that, as the Bucks having the best chance, but they do have a lot of length and a lot of dynamic players, and that could pose a problem for Cleveland.
Yeah, they definitely – and they have some exciting players coming back. Jabari Parker made his return the other night, and I think he's already thrown down like 2 pretty nice dunks.
He had a nasty one coming around the baseline where he's off balance and just jumps up and basically posterizes. It was a slight poster, but he still got, I think, 2 defenders. It was nice.
Yeah, the Bucks can definitely use that too. I think Michael Carter-Williams is out. Hopefully he's back for that game. I think it'll be a good matchup, but I really like the way the Cavs are playing this year. They're really utilizing Kevin Love better. Him and LeBron seem to be trying to work their chemistry out a little bit more and getting on the same page for everything. And I think the addition of Mo Williams and Richard Jefferson has been actually huge. So I'm going to pick the Cavs.
Yeah, Richard Jefferson's basically playing that Sean Marion role from last year at the beginning of the season, but he's doing it better, in my opinion. I think he just has more legs left.
And they'll D him up on maybe the other team's best offensive player sometimes just to give LeBron a little bit of a breather. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I also really like LeBron's happy medium between the super baggy shorts and the short John Stockton shorts. I think he's found a good medium, and I think NBA players should push towards that. I think it looks good. I've been wearing shorts like that for a while, just like right above the knee. I just think it's more comfortable, and I think more players should adopt it. Because I remember back in like the early 2000s, shorts were going to like mid shin length.
Yeah, they had to enforce a rule.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So I'm happy with this medium. And I know, did you just say you're going with the Cavs?
Yeah, I'm going with the Cavs.
I'm gonna. No, this is tough. I haven't thought about this, but I'm gonna say Milwaukee pulls the upset at home.
Hey, they definitely could. They're a chippy team, and they're going to come to play every night.
Giannis has been awesome.
Yeah, he has. He's been great. He's filling up the stat sheet. He's had a couple 20-plus point games this year, too, which is nice to see from him.
All right, moving on to the final game of the week, or final game of my 6 games of the week. Sunday, November 15th, 5 o'clock, NBA League Pass. And by the way, all these times are Eastern Standard Times. So 5 o'clock Eastern, NBA League Pass. The surprising Portland Trailblazers going to face the surprising Charlotte Hornets. I did not think that this game would be one of my games of the week when I was looking through, but I had to get Portland on there just because they've been really, really fun to watch, and they're kind of good, like surprisingly good. And same with Charlotte. Like Charlotte's not bad either. They don't have the best record in the world, but I think they could really turn a corner and make the playoffs. I mean, obviously, they're in that like sort of no man's land in terms of not good enough to get a top 4 seed and home court advantage in the first round, but also not bad enough to get a top lottery pick. So I think they're in that NBA middle ground of mediocrity, which no one wants to be in. But I think this matchup will be really interesting.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned in your post that these teams had a trade go over the offseason, some player switch teams. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Hornets have showed flashes. I mean, Al Jefferson's has put up some nice games. Same with Kemba Walker. And then, like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, Portland's been surprising everybody. But
I think Al Jefferson's going to have a huge game. I know Shaq dubbed the 2 white guys for Portland the Doughboys because they rise, because they have them pogo sticks. And Myers Leonard and Mason Plumlee. And I think Al Jefferson's one of the best low post scorers in the game. Has a variety of pump fakes, up and unders, reverse pivots, all that kind of stuff that you try to do on NBA 2K. Well, you don't try to do, but it just happens for some reason because you're that bad. I think he's going to get a lot of fouls on those 2 guys just because they're going to want to jump and try to block his shot. And he's just going to pump fake. Oh, I'm just going to lean into you and lay it up with an up and under. So I think Al Jefferson's going to have a huge game. Who do you like in this matchup?
This is honestly probably the toughest out of all the matchups. Who's at home?
Charlotte's at home, and it's a 5 o'clock game on Sunday.
I'm going to go with Charlotte. I just feel like they're going to win at home. They play like really good sometimes, and other games are not as good. I think consistency is a problem. Hopefully at home they can kind of get up for this matchup, but maybe Nicholas Batum has a really nice game because it's his old team. So I'm going to go with the Hornets.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Charlotte as well. I just think the early start. Well, I don't know. Portland might be on a road trip already, and might have already adjusted to the early start time on the East Coast. So I don't want to use that as a reason for me picking Charlotte. But because I don't have a better reason, I'm just going to go with it. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Charlotte as well. So just to recap, you have Golden State over Detroit, Oklahoma City over Washington, the Los Angeles Clippers over the Mavericks, the Jazz over the Magic, the Cavs over the Bucks, and the Charlotte Hornets over the Trailblazers. And I'm with you on Golden State, Oklahoma City. I do have Dallas pulling the upset at home versus the Clippers. And I have Orlando winning against Utah. And I also have the Bucks pulling the upset over the Cavs at home. And then we both agree on Charlotte at home. So we have some differences there. It'll be interesting to see.
Half and half, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I guess we'll check out the results next week. But thank you guys for listening. We'll be doing this weekly, so let us know what you think.